Hello viewers in the Gambia and beyond. This is News Review and I am Lamin Jai. First, we would like to apologize for the late broadcast. Coming up on the show, the second-hand clothes industry is defying the odds despite the challenges posed by the modern clothing industry. We have a report on that. Also, florists are speaking of good times in the business of floriculture. We have a report on that. We'll bring you that report and more. But first, I'll begin with the papers. Again, but at some point in the program, Fatu Kamara will join us on the show. We will be talking about the attack on our cameraman on Monday at the High Court during the trial of Mr. Yankuba Toure. But first, I will look at the papers, and I'll start with the Standard newspaper. The Standard today, Wednesday, July 10th, is reporting that Gambia government denies any negotiation on Jammeh's report, or Jammeh's return rather. PPP legal battle takes another twist. According to the Standard also, media was the most oppressed professional body under Jammeh. That's according to Lamin Cham, that's the editor. He was testifying before the TRRC there. Councillor convicted of illegal tree felling asked to resign. Also on the Standard, Yankuba Toure seeks bail as AG plans to add 10 more charges. We will look at some of these stories. The Gambia government denies negotiation on Jammeh's report. The Gambia government has released a statement denying it is in any negotiation with anybody or group about the return of former President Yahya Jammeh. The full statement is reproduced below. In the wake of raging allegations that the APRC of Party of exiled former President Yahya Jammeh was in serious negotiations with the Barrow government for the former president's return home, the Gambia government categorically denies the claims as totally meritless. This statement is signed by the government spokesperson Ibrahima Sankare. Also on the Standard, PPP legal battle takes another twist. The legal battle involving the newly elected leader of the People's Progressive Party, Papanjai, and 3 others has taken another significant twist as the party itself has been added in the lawsuit as the 4th plaintiff. Mr. Njai was elected leader of the former ruling party at the party's Congress last year, but few days later, Alhaji Yaya Sise, Dudu Tal, and Papa Fall, mainly supporters of Mr. Njai's opponents at the Congress, former Vice President Bibi Dabo, instituted a legal action at the court seeking a declaration that Mr. Njai is not a bona fide member of the party and was not properly appointed. Also on the Standard, media was the most oppressed professional body under Jammeh. Lamin Cham, a veteran journalist, former BBC correspondent and currently editor-in-chief of Standard newspaper, has said that the Gambian media suffered the most among all professional bodies under Yahya Jammeh's tyranny. Testifying at the beginning of the 6th session of the TRRC yesterday, Mr. Cham said as communication agents, journalists were targeted by Jammeh, who did not want dissenting views heard or his action and decision challenged by the public. Councillor convicted of illegal tree felling asked to resign. Communities of Manna, Kibiri, Kolikunda, Bushtown, Sotokoy and Jamali have called for the immediate resignation of Bani Ward Councillor Sori Dabo. The call came after the councillor was found guilty of unlawfully cutting down trees by a district tribunal led by the chief of Nyani, Per Bah. That will be all on the Standard. I will now turn to The Point. The Point is reporting that Dada's autopsy report never shown to his family. That's according to D.A. Jao, who was testifying before the TRRC. Government refutes allegations of negotiations for former President Jammeh's return. That's reported by the Standard. GPU condemns attack on 2 journalists by APRC, 2 arrested for racist attack against Gambian in Rome. We will look at some of the stories there. According to The Point, 2 arrested for racist attack against Gambian in Rome. 2 Italians aged 45 and 50 years were arrested Tuesday as on suspicion of carrying out a racist attack in Rome last month. The Gambian national was attacked in the San Lorenzo district on June 17. He was assaulted after entering a bar and asking for something to drink, police said. Also on the Point newspaper, Barrow urges fellow leaders to overcome challenges. That's a press release from State House. During the closed door session at the 12th extraordinary session of the Assembly of the African Heads of State held in Niamey, Niger on the 7th July 2019, President Adam Barrow focused his deliberation on the commitment of AU leaders in the implementation of the AFCFTA to transform their economies. So that will be all for the newspapers. We will now turn to some of the stories. We have patronage of sellers of used clothing in the Gambia. It's not restricted to any class. Its usage cuts across all social strata. At a point in time in the life of an average Gambian, used clothing from abroad seem to be the most handy and available because of its affordability. And so the FADU network has been finding out how the second-hand clothes industry is doing in the Gambia.
Locally referred to as Fogojai, used clothing from the West have proven to be a popular choice in many Gambian households. Despite the seeming lack of official statistics on the importations and use of second-hand clothing in the Gambia, it is believed that the number of Gambians that rely on Fogojai as a source of clothing is significant. The Gambia is not only a popular destination for Fogojai from Europe, but the country also sells for huge volumes of intra-port trade in used clothing.
mais balo di moo cher presque dañuy jaay ba pare presque duñ génn sax presque daanaka dañ koy may jigéen ñi rek xam nga ñun moom jigéen ñi lañ fi nekkal yaa ma gën a xam noonu la fa demee. waaw effectivement balo di moom dafa cher trop mais nag ñun dañuy soblaan dañuy dem si nit mu yor conteneur ñu dem mu jox ñu ay balot bon bu ñu joxee ay balot ñu jaay ba pare suñ jaay ba pare ñu daal di koy jox xaalisam balo di moom c'est over dafa trop cher doo comprendre moom waaye.
dafa ko lu bëri la maa jokkoo di ko soo jëlee bagage yi jàmbur nga dagg ko pare jaayuloo dara di ko bàyyi mooy loolu borom da koy foog ne yaa ngi lay xale te fekk jaayuloo waaw temps yi moom marché bi moom neexul moom wax dëgg yàlla.
non c'est que ballot bi nag dafa am number 1 am number 2 am number 3 léegi nag yow soo si comprendre yow miy jënd bon da ngay xool ne boo jëndee number 2 boobu du dem da ngay xool ne da ngay perte boo dagg moom da ngay dagg number 1 bi xam ne da ngay am bal yu baax ngay am mais am na ñoo xam dañuy dagg number 2 number 3 mais du baax parce que duñ ci génn loolu mooy problème bi.
But what are some of the reasons why the second-hand clothing industry in the country can still survive in the face of massive boom in modern clothing industry? It is not only cost that is keeping the Fogojai industry afloat, but preference is another reason for Gambians' love affair with used clothing. However, despite its relatively cheap cost, some Gambians are still complaining. The FATU network could not, at the time of preparing this story, access any official statistics on the volume of used clothing business transactions in the country. But the Gambia serves as a hub for intra-port trade in second-hand clothing from Guinea-Bissau and part of southern Senegal. Fatou Cisse reporting for the FATU Network News Review.
Now, the floriculture sector is also experiencing growth. This is at least according to florists in the country. Detail in this report by Jaka Sise Jaite.
Like the used clothing industry of the Gambia, the business of selling flowers is also booming in the country. Despite the surge in the prices of flowers, florists are speaking of an upward spiral in the demand for exotic flowers. Flowers, it is an incontrovertible truth, are vital for healthy human existence. Not only that, flowers can also be used for decorative purposes in a way we can communicate with our homes and offices. So what are some of the factors at play in relations to the latest increase in demand for flowers?
Waaw, Gambia si bu njëkk bi daal laykuñu flower noonu wante léegi ñu ngi gis njëriñ flower parce que tukki bi moo bëri léegi soo demee Europe nga gis lu xam ne loolu baax na pour Africa fii loolu moo tax tamit ñu bëri ñu ngi jënd flower di def waaw.
dama de kontaan ñun ma de gis ñu de Samba Kër am mu ngi jënd flower def si kër gi mu ngi def flower jënd di def am nga ñeneen dañ di teg flower comme like yi moom nekkul lekk moo ko mën a ku am flower moom dafa ñëw jënd su ko waa place daf am na waa flower moom mën na jaar place yooyu moo fi nekk rek.
But floriculture is not without problems in the Gambia.
jafe-jafe fii daal mooy xanaa mbaam yi ñu dee ñëw guddi léegi ñu yaxa ñu fii wante fii daal business bi mu ngi dox normal Wow.
Jaka CCJT reporting for the Fatu Network News Review.
It is this time.
Now we'll bring you a story that is quite popular among women. It is Kaba time in the Gambia. This is the time of the year when Kaba lovers released in the local wild fruit. Kaba is much liked by many consumers for its sour taste and delightful delight. And despite the cost that the animal count as a result of many Gambians' insatiable taste for Kaba, Gambians' love affair with this wild fruit is unquestionable. More in this report.
It is this time of the year when the local Kaba trees in the remaining forests of the country are normally heavy with fruits. One may expect that this usual abundance of Kaba fruit will mean an overabundance of food for the animal in the wild. But no, this is the time of the year when human encroachment on the habitat of wildlife increases as Kaba-seeking people visit the forest areas for this fruit, which is highly prized in urban centers. It's another Kaba season in the Gambia, and this means a surge in demand and supply for the delicious and delightful wild African fruit. The Fatu Network spoke to some Kaba dealers at Serekunda Sandaga.
Kaba de do ko diata do ko mandia parce que watol do bi jen kabata kol soto jele nset jama se tinya se fay ko be mo al ko ya kol ka wato do asa jurma nyoka wato do bi jay manke because aka bo fokasa mas ninga woliya natilum fanan ka soto kata birka man ka tawol ni woliya natin ka soto se ni wol manate aka kol ya mulle wadon aka tar jurmari nyoka janna se siya mobe ya soto wato do bi je afiro ka so ya je bi fanga be siar marso ko non
jaga be mo ngi ni am nga li mom odu gaay la bagage bu toy la bugul fanan ta fi sometime moy lolu ligay mom yomut because ñun bir kama lañ ko de dem jëndé fofu non dafa ser torop waye na gis nga ko yalla baax na dal dañ ci dé mëna def suñu wërsak nice bes bu nekk ci leen dé ligay dañ ko dé jaay fi waye lélé xam nga rek bu auto ñëwé fi dañu dé disturb lélé da nga gis dafa fanan sa dañ ko dé mujja
Kaba is a highly consumed fruit by the Gambians, and it is especially popular with girls and women. It is purchased year-round and loved by consumers for its sweet and sour taste. The fruit trees grows predominantly on riverbanks and in the woodlands. Fatu Cisse reporting for the Fatu Network News Review.
So, as I said earlier, we will be talking about the attack that was made against our cameraman on Monday. We dispatched the team to the trial of former AFPRC junta member Yankuba Ture at the High Court. An angry mob, mostly APRC supporters, attacked our cameraman as he attempted to cover a solidarity gathering there in Banjul. I am joined in the studio by Fatu Kamara. Fatu, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you. Yeah.
Yes, and so I want us to talk about this because this was a bit serious. Our cameraman Modu was at the High Court to cover the trial of former junta member, Yankuba Ture, AFPRC junta member, but as he attempted to film this gathering outside of the High Court in Banjul, he was attacked. What did you make of it when you saw this?
Well, it's a very, very unfortunate situation. And like when the attack on you happened, this one too, I was outside. I wasn't even at the office when I got the information that two journalists, a cameraman and a journalist from RFI were attacked. So the first thing I did was to look at the video, because that day when you had your news review, I wasn't watching at that time. And I saw it, and I'm glad that the GPU, the Gambia Press Union, issued a statement, which I was expecting, and that happened to be. And I was also thinking, expecting another statement from the government of the Gambia to say that, to condemn the actions, because this is something that we fought against. And this came like 2 days when journalists were testifying at the TRRC, talking about everything that we went through.
Yeah, I was coming to that because the timing. This happened while journalists were testifying before the TRRC with regard to some of the problems they went through in the Jammeh era. One would have expected that this government, it would have been a different ball game altogether, but we are seeing journalists being harassed, journalists being attacked for simply doing their job.
I think that's the most unfortunate part, because that happens when, like you said, journalists were testifying in the TRRC and people were very concerned. You could see posts on Facebook saying they did not know that this was some of the stuff that we all went through. And the fact that the people who were involved in this APRC, I've always said that I have nothing against APRC, the party. I had people say many times that APRC should be banned, but each time they say that, I'm like, but APRC is part of us. They're our sisters, they're our brothers, they're our cousins. So we actually have nothing against APRC, but I thought that as a country with laws, that the government was going to come out and condemn this and warn them not to attack journalists because it is wrong. And I saw a few people saying on Facebook that the cameraman was trying to get some confidential information from the APRC or something. I mean, the guy is not a reporter. He's a photojournalist, so all he was doing was taking pictures. So he wouldn't know what was confidential or what was, and it was in a public place.
So I know you are aware of what Modu went through, but we managed to get a video. There's a video that we have. I think if Mansour is ready, we can play that video and then continue the discussion.
Okay.
After the APRC militants on Monday assaulted the Party Network cameraman and a journalist with Radio France International ran for safety when stole-wielding assailants threatened him. Cameraman Modu Seydi was assaulted and manhandled as he attempted to take footages.
Let's go this way. Wait, I should take this. I'm doing my job. No. It's okay. I'm doing my job. Please, let me take this. Yes.
Bro, for your safety, bro. Comply with me, huh?
So we will open the lines a little later. If you want to take part in the discussion, the Skype would be open. So, but then you've seen from the video there, we have seen the GPU issuing a statement, and what the GPU said is that they are concerned about the frequency at which such attacks are happening in the country.
Yeah, and if you listen, yeah, the GPU definitely should be commended for stepping up, you know, at the right time. And if you listen to the video, if you watch the video, you could hear Modu someone saying to him, for your own safety, come to me, I can help you. And then he said, but I'm doing my job. So nobody can say, I saw people saying they want evidence. I mean, what more can you want? Because you hear somebody else saying, for your own safety, come this side, come to me, and then the person is saying, don't touch my camera, don't do this to my camera. So I was wondering how the government missed this part when they issued their press statement. And I know 100% that there is no way that press statement could come without them seeing the press statement from the GPU.
Because that was where I was coming to. A day later, the government also issued a statement.
Yes.
But this statement is nothing sort of disappointing. What we saw in that statement is only I don't know how one would describe it.
Yes.
They came out with a statement saying, okay, they are aware of the attack on the French journalist. In fact, Modu was the one who was really attacked. But Roman sanction of RFE was only trying to help Modu. And that was when they also turned to him.
Yes.
So, I mean, what do you make of this statement?
I think it's very unfortunate that this is coming from the government. It's very petty. Is very unfortunate, is sad, is disrespectful, and I was expecting something better from the government, especially from somebody, the spokesperson of the government, who is also a journalist. I mean, this is a guy who was also out in the diaspora running the Gambia Echo. He is a trained journalist. And then you have the information minister, who's also a trained journalist.
So one would have expected them to know better.
Exactly, because the office of the spokesperson is at the office of the information minister. So this is why when I saw that statement, and the first thing I did was to call the information minister and ask him what was happening. So he said to me that he was busy, he was out of the office, he did not even know what was happening. So I think stuff like this is what is self-hate. Because you have a situation, you have people in your country who went through stuff. I think the best thing would have been to at least acknowledge all the journalists who were involved. But even the Tubab that they're doing this for, the French, they would disrespect you more. Because for anybody to respect you, you have to respect yourself first and respect your people. But if you don't respect your people, nobody respects you. So I don't think if they know this, this is very distasteful, especially, I mean, Sankare has been doing stuff like this to us since Sankare came. Nobody has seen him give us any interview. He's been running away from Fatu Network, which I understand is his, you know, he can choose to do that. That is up to him. But one thing he needs to know is that he's not in that office for personal reasons. That office is a government office. He is being paid by taxpayers. So once you are in a position like that, whether you hate someone or you don't like them, you have to be able to deliver. You have to be able to do your work, and when it is at a timely manner. Most of the times, even to get press releases from him, you know, he does not even send us.
So it's largely about professionalism.
Yeah, I think he's very, you know, I don't want to attack him, the person, because that would be very, you know, that would look ugly. But I think he looks like somebody who is very unprofessional. Whatever problems he has, and I can swear that I never had any issues with him. This is somebody that I know who was calling me 3 hours. We were talking on the phone, and this was 2013, 2014, and he came to Gambia. We spoke on the phone, and after that, that's it, you know, which is fine. That's his choice. But when it comes to the office that he's at, he cannot be there and having personal issues with people. I think that would be very wrong. I called him, you know, I spoke with Sankare. I wrote an email and copied the Minister of Information to tell him we don't even receive press releases from Sankare. What is the problem? He never responded. So this again, he wrote a press release knowing that we are affected, and he skipped us. So I'm trying to find the answers. What is the problem? What did we do to him? Even if we do something to him, he needs to know that it should not be personal.
So finding answers would be one of the, you know.
Yes, we want to know what is the problem with him. What is he running away from? What is he shying away from? I know him, and maybe he thought that, you know, people are going to say stuff about what they know about him, but that's not important. I have issues with some people, but they come over here and do their interviews. In fact, when they come, I welcome them to my office and talk to them, because the Fatu Network is bigger than Fatu Camara. It's no longer about me. So
let's come to this now, because there are some people out there who think we have an agenda against them. You know, SBAPRC particularly. What they are saying is that we have an agenda against them. Fatu Camara has an agenda against them. Is this the case?
No, definitely. Why would anybody has an agenda against a party that's no longer ruling? I think what actually happened was when Jammeh was the president, of course, a lot of us were fighting against Jammeh and his government because of everything that was happening, the killings and everything. So that was what I was fighting against. I was never fighting against an individual. I know APRC people. Lamin Tamba has been on this media network many times. Lamin Tamba is a friend. I send him inbox messages. I talk to him. A lot of other APRC people. So I honestly have nothing against APRC, because the issue I had was with Jammeh and his government at that time. But since Jammeh left, I have no issues with anybody. But you know, sometimes people want to make themselves feel so important. They want to have an issue with you. And you know, I guess to go around town saying I have an issue with Fatu Camara, I think it's fashionable for some people. Maybe that is the reason, but I hardly have time for that, because if anybody knows me, all I know is work. I want to make sure that I work and make life very comfortable for my staff here. Make sure I pay on time. I think those are the most important things that I want to do right now than, you know, fighting with people and stuff. I really don't even have the energy. Not anymore. I used to, but definitely not anymore.
Do you have anything else to say about this?
Well, again, like I said, it's very unfortunate. I want to know what is happening with Sankare, why he decided. I think he's kind of bringing a divide and rule. Like, this is the media houses that I will go to. I would avoid this one. I think journalists need to avoid this kind of thing and not allow Sankare to divide us. Because what happened is we should all stick together. Somebody who is a journalist, somebody that we fought with, should know better. What he should do is to bring us all together. But the moment he's trying to divide us, they should be suspicious of him, because maybe he has some shortcomings that he is trying to hide. But these are some of the people that Barrow needs to watch. Because as a president of a country, you cannot have people who are using your office, the office that they are serving, to settle personal scores, especially people that they have no issues with. I think what happened is very wrong, and what it does is it's trying to tell us that we are not safe in this country as journalists. And like I mentioned in the video earlier, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to be here and we'll duke it out with them. But meanwhile, what I plan to do is to tomorrow we want to do we want to report the case to the police station and also write to the office of the president and try to ask them why a journalist from Fatu Network was also attacked and he was sidelined. So what we're doing now is to find answers to this whole thing.
Thank you very much for your
and before I go, I just want to also mention that I'm very disappointed with my friend and my colleague Ibrahim Silla. He's the Minister for Information. Ibrahim is a very good friend of mine. In 1995 at Citizen FM, he was editing the news and I was reading it. So if stuff like this happened, he cannot be hiding and running away from it. He should face it. Especially he's a journalist that I worked with since 95, and also during the struggle we worked with him, and our agenda was to make sure that we have democracy in this country, freedom of press, freedom of expression. Ibrahim and I were all fighting towards this. Sankara was, we know what he was doing, in and out and all that kind of stuff. But Ibrahim Silla knows very well. So I think I must express my disappointment with Ibrahim Silla. I hope that they will come out and try to meet us and settle this issue, because we are not going to let it go out like that. And to the people who are saying, oh, you are the one supporting Barrow, whatever you want to call that, about the t-shirts, I have no regrets doing that. That is the office of the president. It's the highest office in the country, and it's also an institution. If Lamin Jai sits there and something happens that is not right, I'm going to come out and condemn it. It's not because of Lamin Jai, but it's because of the office. I have no regrets over that. But that does not mean that I'm going to spare Barrow, his government, when they do something that is wrong. But I just want to say we have, again, one more time, we have no issues, no personal issues against anybody. We definitely don't even have time for that. But one thing we would not allow is for people to support whatever political party or group, and because of, because they want their votes or they want to work with them, to use that at the detriment of the Fatu Network or us. That is something that we would never allow.
I think someone wants to be part of the discussion. I'm not sure he's on the line. If we don't have anybody on the line.
Yes, I think somebody said they were going to call.
Someone wanted to call.
Yes, maybe I can text them and say. But yeah, just like I mentioned, I think journalists should not allow people like Sankara to come between us, because since he got here, that's the kind of game he's trying to play. My favorite and this one. And when I even spoke to a journalist who is also a very, very prominent one in Gambia, somewhere, a Gambian journalist that I spoke to, and asked that person that they should not allow Sankara use them. Because of the tactics that I see he was playing, I had to reach out to that person and talk to them, and they have assured me that something like that will not happen. Yeah, and one thing I don't want to do is to go personal on him, but I think what he did is very disrespectful. It is very sad and is very wrong. And if he's watching us, I think he should retract that statement and do the right thing.
Thank you very much. I think we have someone on the...
Yeah, somebody was...
Hello, Kex, how are you?
Very fine, Lamin. How are you?
Very well, good. You want to take part in the discussion?
Yeah, I just want a quick one in regards to the attack on Fatu Network, a cameraman, and that of the reaction from the government.
Yes.
But first of all, I will send my sympathy and my deep regret for the attack of the journalist, and I'm sympathizing with the Fatu Network for the manner in which his cameraman was handled. We all condemn it, and I'm joining the people who has condemned it.
Yes.
Yeah, but going further, in regards to the government, the reaction towards the whole saga, which was very disappointing and very unprofessional when it comes to the highest institution of this country. Ibrahim Sankara is not a person who is just talking as Ibrahim Sankara has a normal person, but he's talking on behalf of the government. That is an institution which is the Gambia government, and such unprofessional behaviors coming from him should be condemned by every concerned Gambia. It shows that it's a divide and rule, and it's something that shows you that the government has no respect for its citizens. The sole responsibility of a government is to promote and protect the general welfare of your citizens.
Yes.
To know heartbeats, the pains that your citizens are living with. If they are in a bad condition, you have to feel with them. You have to sympathize with them. But if this happens to a journalist and the government failed to condemn it, that means that they have legalized it, that any person can come here and beat our journalists and go free. But it can happen to an international committee or international journalist and they can condemn it, because during the press release, if you read it, you will see that they have condemned the action that was done to the RFI reporter. But what is done to our Gambian citizen is something that is legalized, that so anybody can just come and beat our journalists, and is something that is okay with the government. That shows you that how irresponsible Ibrahim Sankara is, and I'm calling on all genuine Gambians to condemn his action and know that he's not there as a person, but he's there to represent a government. And what is expected of a government is to promote and protect its citizens. If he cannot do that, let him leave that office and hand over and go and run his own personal institution. Thank you.
You know, Kex, the ridiculous thing I have had in some quarters is that this might have been an oversight. Do you think this is a result of an oversight on the part of the government spokesperson, or on the part of government, if you like?
There is no oversight with the issue, because GPU has made a statement, and after GPU statement, that's where the government statement came. And I'm 100% sure that they have come across GPU statement, and they could not have any information without relying on what is on social media and that the footage that has been captured during the whole interview. How did they get to know that an RFI journalist was attacked? It's because of the footage that was captured during the whole incident through the Fatu network, and GPU picked that information and made their statement. Likewise, other institutions that have condemned the action. So they cannot say that it's an oversight. They have said it is a deliberate action from Ephraim, and I'm calling him to resign from today. What he has done is very unprofessional, and he don't deserve to be the spokesperson of this country.
Kex, thank you very much for your time. I think also on the line we have Omar Wali.
Yes, Omar Wali is trying to call us. I was trying to see if you can call him from your computer, because that is very clear.
Okay.
But let's see. Hello, Omar.
Yes, ma'am.
You are in New York and it's kind of loud over there, but yes, we can let you come in a little bit. They're trying to call you on Skype. Just give us 1 minute. They're trying to call you on Skype.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So Fatu, that was Kex there, calling on the government spokesperson to resign. Do you think he should resign his job, his position?
Well, you know, Fatu, like people would say, when my sisters would tell me, when you have an issue with somebody, we will not come in between it, because the next minute you're friends.
Yes.
So resignation, no, I think right now, let him just try to rectify this issue and then try to avoid it in the future.
Yes.
But I think we can be there for a little bit more.
Okay. Okay. We're trying to bring Omar Wari in. Is Omar on the line now? Omar, hello, are you there?
Omar is in New York.
Omar is not there. Omar, are you there?
Can call him on your computer. That would be better. But just like Kex said, I don't think there's any way that they can say.
Hello, Omar. Are you there?
Hello.
Omar, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself and Fatu?
We are good, alhamdulillah. Omar, you want to take part in the discussion?
Yes, in reference to the government's reaction towards the attack on journalists.
Yes.
We all know it was both our cameraman Modu and the reporter for RFI.
Yes.
But the government decided to talk about one and not to talk about one.
What do you make of that?
Well, I think this is a deliberate attempt by the government, because I will not blame the spokesperson. And at the same time, I also blame him because he is not nobody. He's not like any other person. He was working in the media. And again, even if the government did not know that it was two people, he, as the government spokesperson, should know better and put this both the Fatu network and RFI correspondent. But they just ignore Fatu network and just put only the RFI reporter there.
Yes.
My argument is, even if they have a personal problem with Fatu network or Fatu Camara per se, but this is a journalist who was assaulted. And this was the same government that has been saying, yes, we want to give space to journalists and so on, but a journalist was assaulted and you just condemn the one, and deliberately forget about the word. I think this is a deliberate thing by the government of the Gambia, and the government spokesperson should come forward and redo his press release.
But do you think the personal problems should come into normal government work?
That is the worst thing that any government or any individual can do. Because even if you have a problem with either Lamin Jai or Omar Wali, when a journalist is attacked at Fadu Network, you should put your differences aside and talk about the attack that was meted on the journalist. But because of your personal problem, you want to ignore that one. I think that is very, very unprofessional.
So before we let you go, Omar, how is New York?
Let me tell you a story.
Yes, go ahead.
Some religious leader from an African country came here, and when he saw the skyscrapers, and he was like, after the summit, he was asked to go back, and he said no. They asked him why. He said, how many years in the wilderness? He has been in the wilderness in Africa for many years. Yes. And they told him, but you have to go back. You have a congregation behind you. He told them, look, even when Moses went to the promised land, he was controlled.
Yes.
So are you saying you're also staying in New York?
No.
I also understand you bumped into my in-law. Well,
see, you guys.
Your in-law charged me $1,000 because I did not recognize him. He said, okay, I'll give you a wife.
But Omar, how could you not recognize your in-law?
That was night time when I visited in Banjul. So I met him somewhere in Harlem, New York. So it was like, Omar Wali. I said, do you know me? I said, oh, well, somewhere. So I for 10 minutes, the guy was telling me, you have to pay $1,000. So I take my daughter. I said, come on, but I didn't know. So somebody told me this was the guy who gave you a wife, Lamin Jai's wife. When you went for a wife, that was.
when he got home, he informed my wife about it, and then my wife called me. Well, but Omar, thank you very much for your time.
So you guys have your little stuff that you're doing in the corner. But thank you, Omar. Thank you. Enjoy your time.
Enjoy your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Fatu?
Yes, I just want to wrap that up with what Omar said. And, you know, sometimes when people talk about personal issues and personal problems, I'm like, what really? Like, as far as I know, I have no personal issues with Sankara, but, you know, it's Gambia. And sometimes people would just come and tell you stuff that maybe you don't verify or something. And then you believe them. But even if that happens, like I said, there are people who have said all kind of stuff to Fatu Camara, but they come in here and I make them feel comfortable. You know, a whole lot of them. So it's very unfortunate, but I just want to say I've never had any issues with him. All I know about him is he would call me, you know, that time, and we would have long conversations. I go to America. I saw him sometime. I think it was at the July 4th. And even the other time, Banka was telling me, Sankara said he's not happy because you came to the US and you never contacted him. And I said, because I don't know his number. So maybe he's also trying to say, because I think for some people, for them to keep their jobs, you need to stay away from Fatu because she's this strong woman who you don't want, because most men like women who would run after them and that kind of stuff. I don't do that. I believe in myself. So that could also be his reason, but it's very unfortunate. But if Sankara is watching, I just want to tell him to act professional and know that that is an office and that is not his office. Whatever issues he has with anyone, he has not been sending us press releases. I think it would be good if he can send it to us, because what he's doing it to the president and to the presidency, but he's not doing it to us. What he has done right now is to belittle the government of the Gambia, because a lot of people are talking about this situation on Twitter, on Facebook, on the radios and everywhere. So what he has done to the government and to the president these days is very embarrassing. So if he's watching, I think he will correct this and reach out to the Fatu Network and reach out to our journalists and talk to us so we can settle this, so we can forge ahead. But definitely APRC, we have no issues against you. My issue was every Gambian's issue. We were fighting dictatorship. That was all we were fighting. That dictatorship is gone. I have no issues with you. Some of your friends, your people are my friends. So I just want to make that clear. Yaya Jammeh, if we had an issue, that was before. He's no longer the president. If I see him, I will shake his hand and say hello to him. That's all.
Thank you very much, Fatu, for your time. Well, with that, we come to the end of today's program. We thank everyone for being there. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.